If you average out the View hosts, among the dumbest people on television.
Sunny's dumb. Certainly not the brightest person. And what she just said just doesn't make any sense. It's just like so silly to say. It's not a well thought out. It's like if you had an idea for a premise and it was totally baked and half baked and you went on stage with it and it's nothing.
Just go for it.
All right, folks, buckle up, because today we're diving into one of the juiciest stories circulating the internet right now. Something that blends politics with the glitzy world of daytime television. You guessed it. It involves none other than Senator John Fetterman. And get this, it's about a lawsuit. Yeah, you heard that right. Fetterman is taking legal action against none other than The View co-host Sunny Hostin and the producers of the show. This is a big deal, folks, like a massive bombshell that's shaking up both political circles and the realm of talk shows. So why should you care about this? What's going on behind the scenes?
That about the J6 people too, though, right? That's what they're going to say on the other side. That is weaponized also.
I'm not referring to that. I'm talking about the New York trial, and now the Democrats on our side there were some that were gleeful, calling it like now he's a convicted felon and those things, and now for our party we were talking about criminal justice, and we're now talking about second chances, and now all of a sudden now you're like, well, he's a convicted felon and all these things. And now clearly, again, both of those trials, the Hunter Biden one and the trial in New York for Trump, that was politically motivated, and those kinds of charges would have never been brought unless one side could realize that they could weaponize that.
And why does it matter to us? Stay with me, because we're about to unravel this whole saga step by step. Let's start with the basics. John Fetterman, the Democratic senator from Pennsylvania, has been known for his outspoken nature. He's no stranger to controversy, and he's always been a champion for equality, justice, and speaking his truth, no matter who's listening. But this is next level. Recently, Fetterman made an appearance on The View, the iconic talk show that brings in millions of viewers every day. Known for its lively debates and no-holds-barred discussions, it's a huge platform where everything from politics to pop culture gets dissected and discussed. But things didn't go as planned. Instead of a typical, easygoing conversation about current events and the usual political chit-chat, something took a sharp turn during the live broadcast. Right in the middle of the show, Sunny Hostin, one of the hosts, made a series of comments that seemed to really hit a nerve with Fetterman. Now, they
gave they had a placebo group and they had a vaccine group because they wanted for military readiness to see if the flu shot was prophylactic against coronavirus. What they found is actually the people who got the flu shot were 36% more likely to get coronavirus. And that's not a lone study. We found 6 other major studies that say the same thing. If you get the flu shot, you're more likely to get coronavirus. Look, all you have to do, Alan, and this is what Cochrane said, is look what's happened to longevity in the elderly since we started mandating the flu shot to elderly people. Those are the people who their life expectancy has dramatically gone down as the flu shot proliferated. And if you see, the people who died during the COVID crisis.
Details of those comments haven't been fully revealed, likely due to the ongoing legal proceedings. But what we do know is that Fetterman found them damaging and potentially defamatory. He's now suing Hostin and The View's producers, claiming that the remarks were harmful to his reputation and that the producers failed to stop them from airing. So, why should any of us care about a political figure like Fetterman suing a daytime talk show host? Well, this isn't just a drama-filled spat between two famous figures. It's an important moment in the ongoing conversation about the responsibilities of media platforms and, more broadly, about the balance between freedom of speech and protecting one's reputation. When you think about it, this case touches on a lot of bigger issues that affect all of us, like defamation laws, journalistic responsibility, and the massive power that media outlets hold in shaping public opinion. After all, in today's digital...
It's his son, after all, and people do have sympathy for that. But a lot of people are angry with him about it. What do you say?
Oh, well, I think it's undeniable that the case against Hunter Biden was really politically motivated, but I also think it's true that the trial in New York for Trump that was political as well too. Now it's that, and in both cases, I think a pardon is appropriate, and I really think collectively, America's confidence in these kinds of institutions have been damaged by these kinds of cases, and we cannot allow these kinds of institutions to be weaponized against our political opponents. And it's very clear both trials were politically motivated and weaponized that on the other side.
Everyone's words are up for scrutiny, and what's said on a platform like The View can be broadcast to millions in an instant. Fetterman, known for his unfiltered approach to politics, is making it clear that he's not backing down when it comes to defending his reputation. He believes that unchecked comments, especially ones made...
You on The View?
Yeah. Yeah, so that's been overwhelming my past couple days. So I just went in there, did my thing. I had no idea what to expect. I didn't know who Sunny Hostin was. I actually still really don't know. So I wasn't expecting necessarily for her to kind of try to ambush me in that way and attack my character in that way.
Well, it is the show that people love to hate.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
They get so much hate watching viral clips of them saying ridiculous things. I mean,
yeah.
it is a rabies-infested henhouse.
Made on such a high-profile show can have serious consequences. And this isn't just about him. It's about setting a precedent for how media outlets should operate, ensuring they remain accountable for the messages they put out into the world. Joe Rogan weighed in on the situation, claiming that we live in a world where every word and gesture can go viral. In this age of instant information sharing, the need for responsible journalism has never been more critical. A talk show like The View, which commands millions of viewers, has the power to shape public discourse. What's said there matters, not just for the guests, but for everyone watching. Let's put this in perspective. Sunny Hostin, known...
In a new Netflix documentary series about New York Jets quarterback Aaron Rodgers, he said he's heartbroken about friends and family cutting him off for his controversial political views and conspiracy theories. And a lot of Americans can relate to this, especially after this last election. So, do you think it happens everywhere?
What I recall about him is when he was asked about the COVID-19 pandemic, during the height of the pandemic, when people had lost loved ones, when people's family members were missing from their Thanksgiving table, like my table, he said, "I'm immunized." And as it turns out, he was not. He had done his own research. He has his Google MD like I do. And I think he said he was allergic to something in the vaccine, but he had COVID and he was in a huddle with his teammates. And I think people felt like, wow, you don't care. You're not your brother's keeper.
This could really, this could really turn me against
a morality.
Are you telling me?
For her outspoken nature and candid views, is no stranger to stirring the pot. Her direct approach often leads to some heated moments, and that's what makes the show so engaging. But in this case, her boldness seems to have put The View in hot water. Was it just a case of crossing the line in the heat of the moment, or did Fetterman's legal move expose a bigger issue at play? Think about it. This lawsuit is raising questions about how far public figures, especially politicians, are willing to go to protect their personal and professional lives in the face of potentially damaging public discourse. And it brings into focus how the media needs to carefully weigh the responsibility they have when it comes to airing statements.
In a million years, I would not take the flu shot, and I'll tell you why, because this is what Cochrane and BMJ have found. People who take the flu shot are protected against that strain of flu. They're 4.4 times more likely to get a non-flu infection. And you might find, and a lot of people do, that they get the flu shot and then they get sick. They're usually not getting the flu. They're getting something that is indistinguishable from the flu because the flu shot gives you something called pathogenic priming. It injures your immune system so that you're more likely to get a non-flu viral upper respiratory infection. In fact, the Pentagon published a story, and you can cite this, it's by Wolfe, W-O-L-F-E, in January of this year, in which they said that the flu shot not only primes you for flu, but it primes you for coronavirus.
But in this case, her boldness seems to have put The View in hot water. Was it just a case of crossing the line in the heat of the moment, or did Fetterman's legal move expose a bigger issue at play? Think about it. This lawsuit is raising questions about how far public figures, especially politicians, are willing to go to protect their personal and professional lives in the face of potentially damaging public discourse. And it brings into focus how the media needs to carefully weigh the responsibility they have when it comes to airing statements that can affect someone's livelihood and reputation. At the heart of this issue is the age-old tension between free speech and defamation. While we call for open, unfiltered discussions, whether on political platforms, social media, or talk shows, it's clear that we can't lose sight of the importance of truth and respect for individuals' reputations. There's a fine line, and sometimes it gets blurred. So, where do you stand? Do you think Sunny Hostin and The View crossed the line with their comments, or is Fetterman's lawsuit a little over the top? Maybe even a bit too much for something that's just part